Okay, so none of you should actually have this assignment yet. It might be in your assignments package, but I will send it to you again. If you can kind of see here, what it does is takes a normal picture and kind of turns it into a cartoon, which this is a very cheap and bad version of what we're actually doing. The reason why we do this is it gives you a really good indication of where all your lines are. So if we were to recreate this, I'll know, hey, this line is easier to see, and these might not be the correct colors, but I can kind of see where all my layers are going to be, right? So you can kind of get a sense of, especially like right here in the arm, the different layers. Okay, and some of you might not be able to kind of distinguish that from this picture. So this just makes it a little bit easier to find out where all your layers go. Okay, so we'll go through this tutorial really quick. So open the image you want to transform and make sure it's a higher resolution. Should be no larger than 8.5 by 11. So I'll just open up this picture of Casey here that I have. This is the same one she used. So what I always do is I take the biggest number, change it to 11. This resolution needs to be 300. That's very important. If it's not, it won't work correctly. So it might go bigger. There we go. You just hit Command minus, and it will go small again. Okay, perfect. All right, so duplicate the layer by dragging it to the new layer button. So there's two ways to duplicate. You can either right click and just hit duplicate layer. I find that easier. Or you can just drag it down here to this new layer button. We don't need to do that. I'm gonna unlock this though. Double click it, hit OK. And it tells us to rename these layers. Top layer outline, bottom layer color. So always follow the steps. Outline, if I can spell correctly. And color layer. In the Scanner Darkly assignment, it's extremely important to name your layers correctly because you're going to end up having over 100. Okay, so now we need to desaturate the outline layer. So click on the outline layer, in image adjustments, desaturate. Okay, so there you go. That top one is black and white. Okay, now let's flatten out the tone. So, image adjustments, shadow and highlight. Image adjustments, shadow and highlight. Where is that? There you go. Okay, 75, 0. Let's see what that does in our image. Sure, we'll try that. Okay, now we're going to make the outlines for the cartoon. Make sure your foreground color is black. Perfect. Okay, so mine is not. So I'm just going to go down here and click this little black one. So the foreground color is the front one, background is the back one. Okay, filter, sketch, photocopy. Filter, sketch, photocopy. Okay, I'll try 4 and 8 and see how that looks. It's going to run a little bit slower because you're using a massive image size. So don't worry about that, just give it time to let it work. What did I say? 4 and 8. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to turn this up just to make these lines a little bit darker. Okay, and hit OK. All right. Okay, so now that we got the outlines, let's use the threshold to darken the lines. Okay, so image adjustment threshold, image adjustments threshold, and play with this a bit. Okay, so this will make it very dark. What you don't want to have happen is get all these little black lines. You want it to be dark enough, like that, without having a ton of black, kind of like this. Right? That's no good. But you want to have some detail. So I'll leave it like that. Okay. Now set the blending mode to multiply. So the blending mode is right here. Change this to multiply. Okay, now you can see it's gone over my image. Okay, so this one is the only, this is the incorrect picture. So it should look like mine, where it's color, not like his, where it's black and white. Okay, so now we're gonna go to the background layer, the bottom one. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Back, color, filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Okay, and Turai, the radius of 4.5. Hit OK. Alright. Then we're going to go to the cutout effect. So filter, artistic cutout. Filter, artistic cutout.
Are you teaching for a while?
Yeah.
Okay. I might have.
Okay, so depending on the picture, you may want different levels. So I'm just going to try these ones. 7, 1, and 1. See what that turns out to be. 7, 1, 1. And I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller so I can see this whole thing. Okay, I'm just going to experiment a little bit to see what this one does. Again, it's running really slow just because I have... Okay, so that works for me at a higher level. See what this does. Okay, I'm gonna just try these numbers. Okay, at this point, I would say you don't need to do anything else. Because basically all we're doing is we're trying to get this image to the point where we can just see all the variations of color. So these colors are not correct, right? You wouldn't want to copy these exactly. She kind of looks like a zombie, right? But what you can tell from this image is that there's where the different lines are, where the different shading is. Okay, same with the jacket. Okay, you can see all these highlight colors. They're not necessarily the correct colors, but they're going to show you where to put your layers. Okay, so this is the first step of the Scanner Darkly assignment. I'm going to end this one here. Like I said, I would not publish this if this were the picture in a cartoon assignment. I would continue on going to all these other steps. But for the purposes of Scanner Darkly, this is good enough, right? We're only looking at all these lines, right? And it's really kind of broken it down and showed us where all the shading, where all the lines are, etc.